Hi, Robin of Oxy-Dry. Oh, there's my van. This is a move out. Nice townhouse complex in an area called Wilden. Kind of a high-end area. The carpet is 10 years old. It's actually in very good shape as far as soiling goes. Not a Berber. Technically, it's a loop, multi-level loop, or patterned loop, I guess. Olefin fiber. I didn't find a single stain on it other than one little bit there where some bleach got on the carpet, which is, I can't fix that, of course, with cleaning. There's a bit of compression. You can see the outline of the bed here and some compression going on around the outside, of course. But for 10 years, it's in good shape. Just 2 people lived here. No pets, no kids. A nice area. And then I got this room here. A couple of pieces of furniture to move, but no big deal. So, let's do it. I literally didn't even suspend anywhere on this carpet. Oh, I've got some steps to do as well. 2.5 flights, basically. But this is going to go rather quickly. Been well cared for, you can tell that. Not even any dust in the corners or edges. But probably, I imagine that probably that house cleaning folks in here, and I'm sure they would have vacuumed it anyway and probably did the edges, because I couldn't find anything anywhere really. Oh, that's good. That was a nice, easy, straightforward job. It's nice to get those ones, I actually do get a lot of jobs like this where they're just, it's just in great shape. So yes, we finally got our snow. We weren't actually expecting it, but there you go. That's what happens in the valley. Not a lot, but there it is. Now I will be post vacuuming this carpet, because although there's not much of a pile, it's going to lift and fluff the pile a little bit, and sort of, because of the way the pad and the AstroTurf scrub strips are kind of pulling and laying the yarn one way and the other, depending on the direction I go in, it'll leave it a kind of a bit of a tangled look, so that's why I will run over the whole carpet after with the vacuum again, which won't take very long anyway. It's an easy job. It's nice to have these once in a while. I do actually get a lot of this kind of stuff though. People are carpets are just really in good shape. I don't get a lot of the really bad ones like some guys seem to. And partly I guess is because That's just not our marketing position, because we never advertise price, and then when people do phone, because we don't give them a 3-room $99 kind of a approach, those who are just looking for the cheapest job they can get are more likely to not choose us, and that's fine, because we're plenty busy enough just dealing with the folks that do want us. So it's nice to be in that position, but it does take a very clear vision to get to that point, and it doesn't necessarily happen overnight, but we figured out that that's the way we wanted to go many, many years ago. I realized that trying to win by pricing just won't work. When you're using the set method, you do need to take time to do the job right, and because you're going to take more time than if you were, because most guys steam cleaning would come in here and just spray this down and move the wand very fast. In fact, the time it took me to vacuum, they'd probably have cleaned the carpet without, of course, usually guys steam cleaning don't even bother pre-vacuuming either, so, but, and this is one of the things that sets us apart, and one of the reasons why a lot of people call us is because we do things this way, and when you do this consistently and it's part of your marketing, you stop with the advertising a price and you start to market your services and what makes it different. At least it's worked for us here. I'm not certain that it would work in every scenario, but you got to know your market where you are. That's just what we've done anyway. I had an idea of what I wanted to do with this business right from the very beginning, but it did take me a little bit to really get confident in what I was doing, Because when I started off, I really, because I can't remember, I was, I've been a carpet cleaner for many years already, but to really be confident in how this method would work. I didn't call it set in the beginning, but nor did I call it bonnet cleaning. I never call it bonnet cleaning. I've always had an aversion to calling it that, but I always knew that the key to this was to go above and beyond. And I believed that this was going to be a better method, but I had to figure out how to make it really be effective. And that's taken a little bit of, trial and error. I've experimented with different ways of doing it. And I think I've got it down pat, pretty much. And if you watch my videos, you see that I'm able to deal with some amazingly challenging situations and make carpets look wonderful. But the thing is that when you go through fluctuations of in economy on that, the thing that I wanted to point out is that I mentioned the other day that somebody had come up to me and they'd said they were a carpet cleaner in town and they had experienced a dramatic downturn for a year. And then another thing came up where there was a news article came up about 7-Eleven stores and how they have dramatically, they've actually closed down, I think, hundreds of stores in North America. I think in Vancouver, BC alone, they've closed down about 10 stores, I think, something like that. You know, what's going on? The reason, the guy from the 7-Eleven management or whatever basically said, we're seeing a decrease in the foot traffic in the stores, and what they're seeing is that the lower and middle income people are just not coming in anymore. Things are changing, and the thing about it is, guys, you can't market or advertise your way out of this. You're not gonna, if that's what's really happening, advertising a low, how can you advertise a lower price? I mean, there's a company in my town. They've been here for as long as I've been here, and as long as I've known them, they've been like $99 or something like that for 3 rooms, and they do coupon advertising. And they have, I think, 2 vans on the road anyway, and they go all over the place too. They go to Penticton and Vernon. And if the business drops, volume-wise, because people simply aren't calling because they can't afford the cheap guy, you're not going to win or increase your business by advertising a cheap price. It just won't work. Because people, if they're not calling because they haven't got the money, they still haven't got the money even if you offer your service even less. And the problem is it still costs you the same amount of money to actually do the job. And when you're talking about guys that are advertising a price of, $99 for 3 rooms or whatever, how can you do it for less? You're already losing money at $99 anyway, if you do it for that price. But of course the idea is to do the upsell, and I think in the end that really does. I've always thought that was a great way to shoot yourself in the foot. And that's one of the reasons why many years ago, nearly 30 years ago, I didn't do it immediately, but pretty quickly I realized the secret was, rather than try to compete, was to offer everything that all these guys were upselling. And that's what we started to do, well, almost 30 years ago. And so when people call up and say, I've got, 3 rooms, 300 square feet, and one guy says, I'll do it for $99, and they call us, and we say, we'll do it for $200, but we include this, that, and the other thing. When people realize, oh, the other guy's not going to include any of that. Now, some people are still going to go for the lowball quote anyway, but most people actually won't. When they understand what the real value is that you're offering. At least that's what's worked for us anyway. But we've incorporated this into all of our marketing for literally decades. This is the way we do it. And I think that's the key to operating with the set method. Because you can't compete on speed. If you're going to do it right, you have to pre-vacuum. You have to take the time. Sometimes you can be faster, but most of the time you're not going to be. Those are just my thoughts on this anyway. And I'm in Canada, and it's even worse for us here in Canada. It's really quite shocking what's going on here, but It's just, and you know, I hear guys in the USA talking about how much taxes they pay. I was like, oh, you guys have no idea. We pay a lot more taxes on top of taxes. We need the Tea Party thing. Boston Tea Party, you know. But anyway. There's no quick and easy solution to it. So anyway, we're in a good position ourselves as far as you know, because we've been around for a long time and we've had our focus on the high-end market, you know, pretty much all along. So, and the people who are well off are not anywhere near as affected by fluctuations in the economy as the people that are always looking for the cheapest price they can get. I don't think it makes a lot of sense in this business to focus on that clientele unless you have to. In some cases, and in some places, you have to. So I'm not saying you shouldn't. You got to know your own market. I happen to live in a city that it's not a great big city. It's 200,000, 300,000 in total, maybe all around here. So it's not really that big, but it's not like wind there. Oh, there we go. But Kelowna does have a very high percentage of millionaires. In fact, at one point, I'm not sure if it still is the case, but Kelowna had the highest number of millionaires per capita. Although I don't know if that's still the case, but then again, here's something else that's happening. I just found out about very recently, and that is that the condo market in our town has got to the point where people are stuck in condos that they paid a lot of money for. The value of them has been dropping. They can't get renters, and they can't sell them, but they can't afford them. It's a real problem, and that's happening in other cities as well, but it is happening in Kelowna. And so, you know, people in many cases bought these things in order, they thought they were going to rent them out, and then they changed the rules as far as renting goes with short-term rentals, which really screwed a lot of people up. Thanks to the NDP government, which is basically a socialist government in BC. Anyway, we're just trying to make a decent living, providing a good service, and that's all you can do. The nice thing about the set method is our cost of operating is as low as it gets, and you just have to tighten your belt and not spend money where you don't have to, and make sure that when you go and do a job, you just really do an excellent job so that that customer becomes a cheerleader for you. You need your customers to work on your behalf, and you need to get the reviews. If you're not getting the reviews, by the way, you're really missing out on a really good opportunity to generate calls. In fact, we get a lot of people that call us because they look at our reviews and they're impressed, because they are impressive. Nothing but 5-star reviews. And we have something unique to say, and that's the other advantage. One of the things that people often say in their review is how impressed they are at how well it cleaned and how fast it dried. That's critical, I think. So, those are my thoughts, for what it's worth. So after I do this, I'll go and do some steps, then I'll come back and run the vacuum over the carpet and get it groomed up, and then I'll be done. My second job of the day, and then I'm done for the day. It's actually pretty spotty, by the way, business-wise right now, which is unusual because here we are just a couple weeks before Christmas. You'd think we'd be swamped, but nope. And that's a bad sign. And I know my friend Roger's in the same situation. Things are pretty spotty for him, so let's have a look at this pad. I don't think we'll have much on here. Oh no, I didn't think so. Okay, let you go. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.